Travis Wayne Goodsoe, my work is done. There's really nothing left for me to do or to instruct you on or to warn you about if I'm not going to get attention. So, yeah, Mormons think they got me. They've ghosted me. So, they've proven me wrong. I have no interest in doing videos for people who don't want to save their lives. Joseph Smith history. You never read it? You're a Mormon and you don't read your own scriptures, huh? When people tell cops not to investigate a crime, that's tampering with an investigation. If bribery is involved, that's even worse. And so the prophets of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints tell you not to study the scriptures, just to feel good about them, stay in the church, obey, and you're okay with that, huh? You don't want to find out the truth, you just want to feel the truth. Joseph Smith history, verse 40. He also quoted the 3rd chapter of Acts, 22nd, 23rd verses, precisely as they stand in our New Testament. He said that that prophet was Christ. But the day had not yet come when they who would not hear his voice should be cut off from among the people. But soon would come. Thus the Book of Mormon. The Book of Mormon tells of the coming of Christ. But you think it's Jesus, don't you? So let's go to Acts. For Moses truly said unto the fathers, a prophet shall the Lord your God raise up unto you of your brethren like unto me. Him shall ye hear in all things whatsoever he shall say unto you. Well, this prophet is our Christ. That's what Joseph Smith told us. That prophet was Christ. Here it is. The prophet that Moses is talking about. And it shall come to pass that every soul which will not hear that prophet, who is Christ, shall be precisely as it stands in our New Testament, destroyed from among the people. And so, Deuteronomy 18, 15 through 19, it's right there in the footnotes if you studied your scriptures. And so here we go. The Lord thy God will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee, of thy brethren like unto me, unto him ye shall hearken. Deuteronomy is the law. You might see it in other books. There's that Jesus guy in the Gospels. He refers to the law quite frequently. This is what he's talking about. So is it Jesus? Well, you got to know what the learning of the Jews is. Because if you put in another religion in place of the intended author's religion, that makes you abominable. Verse 19. So it's important to study what the religion of the Jews is. I've After all, the Book of Mormon also says it's in the learning of the Jews. So it's kind of essential to your eternal salvation, since the Book of Mormon is what's supposed to warn you of the latter days, that the Christ is going to warn you, and you need to listen to him, or you're going to be precisely as it stands in our New Testament. And so Messiah in Judaism, there are two main Messiahs, and then there's Elijah, and then there's the righteous priest. But there's some confusion. We won't go into those. But Malachi is where Elijah is referred to as a Messiah. A Messiah is a king who has been anointed. Thus, Messiah, Christ, anointed king. And so when you look at the book of Kings, first and second book, it's actually 4 books. Samuel is actually first and second Kings, not Samuel. And so those are books of Christ. King David, Christ. King Solomon, Christ. This is the understanding of the Jews. So I'm not saying Jesus yet, but yeah, you will notice when you read those Gospels, it says, "He that is born King of the Jews. On this cross, King of the Jews." Because he failed, if you're going to take it literal history. And so, what we see here are 2 main Messiahs. One preceding and preparing for the other. Messiah ben Joseph. Messiah ben Joseph is the one who sets things up, gets the temple going, gets the rituals going, preparing for Messiah ben David. Messiah ben Joseph will be killed in the battle by the evil forces. Messiah ben David is the one everybody's talking about. Isaiah calls him Emmanuel. And so, as Mormons, Joseph Smith is telling us to look for a man like Moses. In other words, the Jewish scriptures are also not literal history. They are all prophecies and revelations of who Joseph Smith told you is your Christ, Mormons. And the Book of Mormon also is another testament of the man like Moses, not Jesus. Jesus is the Christian Christ. You should have studied that. You should have studied the first creed of Christianity called the Nicene Creed. You should have looked it over. You're not watching me and you're not reading the memes and the pictures that have text. Because you don't want, I've heard this excuse throughout my membership in the church. Mormons purposely want to be dumb because if they learn information, they are then held accountable for the knowledge that they received. And so Mormons purposely want to be dumb so that they can be held to a lower accountability. Sorry, you cannot be saved in ignorance. So, Book of Mormon, because it's talking about your Christ, not Jesus, it's teaching you about the learning and religion and the Christs of the Jews. And so you have to put in the Jewish interpretation, not the Christian. So when you get to 2 Nephi chapter 3, there they are, Messiah ben Joseph and Messiah ben David. Sure enough. And so when Jesus comes to the American Indians, it's not literal history, remember? It's prophecy and revelation. And he doesn't have Nelson's power to come from outer space on the flying white horse. You missed those videos? I spent time on those pictures. Nobody gives me any respect. And so, latter days are over in the learning of the Jews. The Jewish messiahs have shown. They appeared, they've been here. We all know Joseph Smith is Messiah ben Joseph. That's 2 Nephi chapter 3. Joseph Smith set up the church, set up the temple, was murdered. But what you don't understand is that the enemy took his church and replaced it with Christianity. Have you not been watching? Have you not been studying? Priestcraft. What year was it supposed to have been revealed to Joseph? 1838, huh? When was Joseph Smith given new revelation for the name change of the church again? Section 115. When? 1838. Where do we get our knowledge of the latter days of Adam on Diamond? Section 116. What's the date? Do you know when they were put in the Doctrine and Covenants? Oh, it was in Brigham's Doctrine and Covenants. Everything that Joseph Smith is accused of doing in 1838 completely changes Joseph Smith. It can't be him. This is a complete makeover. Senior is not dead yet. Sidney Rigdon, he was with him from the beginning. Is that why Oliver Cowdery left? No, because in his book Defense, he didn't learn of other things that Joseph Smith changed until David Whitmer was threatened with murder to leave the church. Or join or die. Believed it was Joseph. All of it was hearsay. Not a single one of these have documents from Joseph. But each and every one of the Doctrine and Covenants says it's by Joseph. All of it was hearsay. And then 116, that's fresh ink on faded ink. It takes 40 years for ink to fade. Nobody is putting the pieces of the puzzle together. The whole purpose of the church of doing the footnotes was to help Mormons study their scriptures and be led to what the church wanted you to know and learn. And so, they don't link you to 2 Nephi chapter 3. They don't link you to Doctrine and Covenants, section 103, verse 16 and 17. He's the Christ, remember? And so if you're going to insist on Jesus being the Christ, try to fit Jesus into here, Mormons. Therefore, after Joseph Smith, I will, in the future, raise up seed, egg, baby. A future child raised up in the future after Joseph. Same as in 2nd Nephi chapter 3. The Messiah comes after Joseph. Unto my people, Mormons. The baby is going to be born in the Mormon church. Amen. Who shall lead them? My people, Mormons. Like as Moses. That prophet was Christ. How is Jesus supposed to be born again? Isn't that in this gospel? How am I to be born again, Jesus? I'm going to do it in the latter days. That's not even Christian doctrine. You can't replace the Jews. There are too many problems. And so there you are. Mormons are the children of Israel and need to be led out of bondage. Is Joseph Smith a prophet, seer, revelator, and translator by gifts? Or are you insisting that it's still titles? Because our current prophets only claim titles. They denounce the power of the gifts. Joseph Smith is prophesying here. This is either going to actually happen or it won't. If it doesn't, then you have to say, well, Joseph never said he was a prophet or a seer or a revelator. We already do it for translator in the Gospel Topic Essays by John Gee, Translation and Historicity of the Book of Abraham. Joseph never said he was a translator. Excuse me, what? What? Oh my God. And so, like I said, the Jewish latter days are done and over with. The Jewish Messiah ben David came. Mormons didn't listen. You missed the Exodus. Be led out of bondage by the man like Moses. I still can't figure out if it's the camera is brand new, or if it's a hacker who sends in a hack signal and tampers with the camera and shuts it down and freezes it. I don't know. I don't want to have to keep doing videos unless there's people who want to actually learn. So then I'd have to tailor the videos for that particular audience. But YouTube is not conducive for any of this. And I don't have enough people to do it with. So I told you, now that the latter days are over, all the Jesuses failed to show that things are now escalating. I warned you. Apparently they're not wanting to wait until the election. They want it happening as soon as possible because they missed it again. They missed it in 2020 and they swore in their wrath that they would not fail the next time. And here's the next time and they, oops, already off to a bad start. MAGA are just not as violent as they hoped. Wimps. Cowards. Amazing. I could have told you that. Bullies are bullies because they're scared. They're little snowflakes inside. And so to protect their image, they project abusive, violent tendencies. So you've got to actually call them out to get them aggravated to violence, and they're just not succeeding well enough. And so they went to the other group that they've been grooming, Islam. Ta-da! That's working. Take that, MAGA snowflakes. You gonna let Islam control America? See, that's a dual purpose here. Islam attacking America to overthrow America, to destroy it, but at the same time to provoke MAGA, who are failing to do their job, to get them going, oh crap, we're about to be under control of Islam, which is also a branch of Christianity. Muhammad, the prophet, where do you think he got that from? And so, yeah, section 103, Joseph is saying Muhammad is not the Christ. Jesus is not the Christ. That's what he's saying. Not the Trinitarian Jesus, not the non-Trinitarian Jesus of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's the Jewish Jesus, the man like Moses, Messiah ben David. And so, have you been keeping track on the news about all of this escalation? The terrorists are rising up all over the world at the colleges and universities, not just in America. They are demanding the destruction and extermination of Islam, or Israel, and the Jews. And the news is lying about it. The news is saying that they're pro-Palestinian. No. This is the overthrow of the governments. Remember? That's prophesied in Mormonism and in the Bible as well. But the Mormons have a different view of the outcome. And so the church is helping to, again, stoke the flames to cause division and overthrow the government. Because it worked so well in Arizona lately, which also was after Nelson failed again. Notice that? They escalated after they failed again. And it was close, because there was that one Idaho kid who actually was going to go through with it, but got caught, didn't go through with it. Church had 2 churches up there in Idaho that were in danger of being destroyed by a terrorist of Islam. Remember the church saying that we are Muslim? It's Islam. Because Mormons are not a culture anymore. Nelson did away with the culture of Mormonism. No more cultural activities anymore. We are a worldwide church. Thus, we are not a culture. So we are not like Muslims. Muslim is the culture. Islam is the religion. The church is lying to you, claiming ignorance and miseducating Mormons by saying we're actually like Islam, because the church abuses women, just like Islam abuses women. Arizona, the Supreme Court, the Disrespect for Marriage Act, all of that was involved by the church. They hadn't learned from the California election of Prop 8. They're still doing it. but this time all over the United States. The church news is talking about spreading religious freedom in different places in the United States. Did you notice what states they're in? They're key battleground states for the election. And they're the church, despite the First Amendment saying that religion has religious freedom. Government can't touch it. Can't make laws to protect it. Can't make laws to not protect it. Religion is religion, and there's a separation. So why is the church pushing religious freedom when they've already got it? It's like saying they're pro-Palestinian, which they are that too. If you've not been paying attention to their church news. If you're not going to watch me cover the church news, if you're not going to watch me covering the scriptures, if you're not going to listen to my warnings from Joseph Smith and the scriptures, why are you Mormon? You have no interest in being a Mormon if you're not going to invest yourself in Mormonism. You've got to study. You've got to do the research. You've got to put the pieces of the puzzle together. You can't hastily conclude when you haven't even finished the puzzle. You put one or two pieces down on the table. I'm done. Are you expecting a pat on the back or a sticker? Good job. So we can validate your feelings? Oh my hell. And so, yes, the church is actively pushing anti-sex ed, anti-porn, anti-abortion, anti-LGBTQIAPO+. They're obsessed with sex. That's what the religious freedom movement is all about. And they know that by doing this and getting the different states, other religions to join in the frenzy, it's going to escalate criminal problems. Because if they taught us sex ed, we wouldn't have these problems. We would watch the Star Trek episode I just saw the other day and go, oh, this is science fiction. It's not real. I saw the origin of LGBTQIAPO+ right there. Because that's when it rose, was in the 90s. Psychologists, as the psychologists on the show. Religion and psychology are anti-science. They are anti-logic. They will not tell you the truth. Because that is how truth is obtained, through logic, Socratic methodology, developing scientific-based research theories to be tested for confirmation. Just as Alma chapter 32, starting in verse 28, tells you to do. And yet you've taken out manifest the truth from Moroni chapter 10, verse 4. Oops. You don't care to know the truth because you think you're going to be saved in ignorance. And you become evil. And you say, no, we're not. I love everybody. No, you don't. If you say that Joseph Smith was Christian, you don't love Joseph Smith. If you say that the Book of Mormon is another testament of Jesus Christ, you don't love the Book of Mormon. You didn't bother to read verse 19 in the 1838 history. Draw near to me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Heart, feelings. You got the wrong feeling, despite your lips mouthing off lies. And so, yeah, this religious freedom movement is being masked with Jesus. So I did the video. Bednar said God. We all share a belief in God. Not the same God, dumbass. And sure enough, I had dumbass people make dumbass comments. Because they refuse to learn. They just want to be stupid. Be saved in stupidity. And then get mad at me because I won't let you be saved in stupidity. I'm trying to save your physical life, so I must be physically hurt and destroyed. What's up with that? So yeah, this is all to tamper with the elections as a distraction away from the other problem that is bigger and more prominent. Because having abortion on the ballot ain't gonna mean jack diddly. If there's a certain president, former president, who gets to run again, and Mormons don't believe that the Book of Mormon is in the learning of the Jews, and so 3 Nephi chapter 7 means nothing to you. It's just literal history. It already happened. There's nothing significant there. Nothing to see there. Move along. Just feel good about it. This is what they failed in 2020 to do. And so this is what they're setting up for this year. And already the big 9/11 event didn't happen. Nelson failed. Again. He didn't get the temple finished. He didn't get the palace finished. He didn't get the throne finished. Didn't get to coronate Jesus so that Jesus can then go and cause 9/11. The abomination of desolation. Failed to show. Like I said, the Jewish Christ showed. He's been doing exactly what Joseph Smith said he was going to do. And what are the consequences of not listening to him? Yeah, well, the Book of Mormon also tells you he ends up living in a cave for the rest of his life. So, also notice that the Supreme Court were the ones who were put in specifically by Trump for this very purpose. And now after 4 years, they're now starting to sue. And it's now about to be decided as to whether or not he can commit a coup and murder as president. Really? Not even Hitler did that thing. He just pretended to be the Socialist Party, got voted by the popular vote, and then when he became the leader, changed it all. But here, the Supreme Court of the United States, having overthrown other constitutional rights, 14th Amendment, gone. First Amendment, gone. Fourth Amendment, gone. Fifth Amendment, gone. All done by this Supreme Court. And so what do you think they're going to do? What do you think Trump has been specifically saying to them? He put them in by orders of the church. This was all plotted from the beginning. You have to look at the big picture. This was all set up. It's See, now all of a sudden we're going after the Arizona people who tried to overthrow the government? 4 years later? And Mormons were involved? And remember that Kerry Lake incident with that Mormon? You're not putting all the pieces together. And so, yeah, the teachers in Tennessee that can now shoot their students, nobody's talked about that. You know, in the good old days, your Catholic school teacher used to beat you with a ruler. Then the United States said, no, we can't do that. And so the kids get sent to the principal's office. But now, yeah, they're trying to push to cause more problems right before the election. Hoping for a school shooting to enrage Americans. Blacks are still getting shot without having a weapon. Innocent, unarmed blacks are still getting murdered by cops. You're not seeing what they're doing. They're trying to enrage America to war. This is what bullies do. You can't stop a bully unless you fight them back. They're just going to escalate. But Americans have shown that they're apathetic. They are like, just couch potatoes observing it all as a WWE match. And occasionally they'll cheer when something bad happens to other people because they think it's funny that it wasn't them. Then when it happens to them, they're like, oh, this is an outrage. Who's to blame? And so, yes, the Gaza. There is a baby. The mother died, had to have a C-section to save the baby, and the baby's now dead. All the children orphaned, starving to death. The safe zone bombed by Israel. So if you do not put the pieces together, if you don't look at the big picture, you're going to be just like those dumbass kids protesting at the college, demanding war if Biden won't conform and comply, if Americans won't support them, having Jews forced to hide and leave. Can't go to school anymore if you're a Jew. And nobody sees the big picture, huh? Nobody sees what's going on, huh? The press, they're not saying it. They're covering it, but they ain't saying it. Because you can tell by the way they label their articles. Calling them pro-Palestinian is misleading, and it is deceptive as a news agency. And so here we have Fox calling it like it is, for once, setting Trump up to be the savior of the Jews. But yeah, there's a lot of pressure to make sure that Trump will not be able to have that opportunity to save the Jews. And even the election, if Trump doesn't win, we won't have a government. 3rd Nephi, chapter 7. And so the thing you're missing is you do not understand the religion of Islam. Just as the church deceived you with her little pamphlet, you do not know that they too are abominable, just like Christianity is abominable, because you think that you're Christian. And so, October 7th, Israel gave them over 2 months to evacuate and leave Hamas behind, so that Israel can only go after Hamas. They didn't leave. They stayed. They fought side by side with Hamas. They protected Hamas. They were the shields of Hamas. All this talk about, oh, well, we don't like Hamas, we wish they would go away. No, Hamas was been there the whole time. Having children with the women, shopping at the stores, running the society. They lied to the world. All of these different extremist groups are merely the military arm of the particular nationalities. Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthi, ISIL, Al-Qaeda, it's all they are. You have the culture, you have the religion, you have the nationality, and the nationalities each have their militant group, just like America has a military. You're not catching on, you're believing their lies. When they say they want peace, they mean they want the extermination of the other party. These pro-Palestinians want the war to end with the death of Israel. And so these parents, by staying and fighting, became the terrorists. Purposely dying so that the men can go get 72 virgins in the afterlife, child bride virgins, leaving the women behind, leaving the children behind, and they're starving. And so the women now have to fight, and they're dying, leaving the children orphaned. They're in the war zone. They didn't leave. Those parents are responsible for the death and suffering of their children. That mother who died is responsible for her baby having to be C-sectioned and then died. The mother's responsible. The parents of all of the orphan children are responsible. Have you never compared it with any other war that's existed in the whole existence of the world? Or at least Ukraine. What happened? Russia comes in. What happened? What was the big news story for weeks? Ukrainians, mass exodus of women and children, those who did not stay to fight. And these neighboring countries calling for help. We need aid. It's too much for us to handle. We don't know where to house them. And so the aid comes to the evacuees. It doesn't go in the war zone. So all this time I've been telling you, nobody wants to care. Nobody sees the big picture. Nobody's listening to me. Mormons have a death wish. You're waiting for Jesus to show, unaware that he missed it. You're waiting for Nelson to compel you in all things as to what to believe in, feel for. And he's failing to tell you. He's keeping it secret, keeping it silent. Surely the Lord God will do nothing, save he shall reveal the secrets unto Nelson, the president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and then keep it a secret from Mormons, so that you get devoured by the lion. And then you thank thee, O God, for a living prophet of Jesus. And you get to go to the highest degree of the celestial kingdom with 10 child bride virgins. Not quite like Muslims. I don't understand this kind of thinking, because I didn't even accept it as a child. I knew better as a child. I knew right from wrong as a child. Why didn't Mormons learn right from wrong as a child? Why as adults they still can't learn right from wrong? Why are you willing to give up your life for this church that is murdering you, that paid the Judas price, that are pulling the puppet strings all over the world? I don't get it. And there's nothing I can do for you. You won't listen. That's all you ought to do. I'm not forcing your agency like the church. I'm trying to set you free, to save your lives and the lives of your families. I'm telling you to get out of the war zone. And you won't do it. So yes, here in Utah, things are getting worse. That neutrality got overturned, though. I noticed the difference. It's much better.